give it a few minutes for the other attendees to join us.
Ready?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I think we are ready to start. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today in our second NGN Majlis. We're very excited to have you as part of our audience, and we'd like to first and foremost also thank the speakers for joining us. I will be introducing the speakers today who will be participating in our second NGN Majlis regarding the topic of SMS, one-time password, OTP, and transaction authentication. And now, before I jump into the topic, I would just like to give an idea about the naming of NGN Majlis to the non-Arab speakers. So Majlis is Arabic word for hangout or council. So the idea of our initiative at NGN is to be more inclusive when it comes to cybersecurity and awareness, and to have, I would say, a bridge between our customers, our vendors, the technology, and definitely the end users. So this is where the idea came from. Now, to introduce our speakers for today, we have with us Mr. Ali Alsaegh, Head of IT Security at National Bank of Bahrain, Mr. Hasan Almoamen, Information Security and Operation Risk Manager at Arab Financial Services, Mr. Pavel Melnichenko, Chief Executive Officer at Airome Technologies, one of our strategic partners, and Mr. Ilya Leonov, our Head of Security Practice at NGN International. Now, I would like to pass the speaker to Mr. Yaqub and Mr. Pavel, who are going to give us a small welcome speech before we start the topic and move into the agenda. The floor is yours, Mr. Yaqub.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ismail, I thank you very much. I thank all our participants. I thank my colleagues in the panel. I'd like to thank Ali Alsaegh for his participation and investment in time with us from National Bank of Bahrain, Hasan Almoamen from Arab Financial Services, and our partner from Airome, Pavel. I thank you very much, and I hope today would be a beneficial session for all of us to exchange knowledge. And this is the main ultimate objective, is to exchange knowledge and share and amongst our subject matter expertise, and obviously the people who are with us, joining us. I thank you all for your trust and for investing time with us today. Thank you very much. Floor is for you, Pavel.
Okay. Hello, colleagues. First of all, I want to thank you too for participating in our meeting. So I believe that topic of today's conversation is very important for all of us because of authentication technologies. It's like a base for all other processes built in banks, in other systems, in actually in all of IT systems around all of the areas. And to solve, problems and to provide good and strong technologies to build like 2FA authentication, it's very important. And I'm very glad that we can share with you with our experience and to show you, how to use advanced technologies and why SMS Otp is one of our topic for today. It's why it's think of the past, and we want to provide you this information to make your ability to use it in your real life, in your real project. And I really believe that it will be helpful for you. I hope so. So let's begin our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pavel, for the introduction. And now we'll move to a quick intro of the agenda, and we can start the discussion. Let me share my screen.
Okay. Video money can I disable it?
All right. Can you see my my screen? All right. So the agenda is that we're going to start off with the first topic, basically an introduction to what is OTP and why is it a thing of the past. This is where Mr. Hasan Almoamen is gonna give us a run from his experience, definitely as a subject matter expert from AFS, and then Mr. Pavel also will give us an introduction on the topic. Then we will be moving into the discussing the adoption of open banking and how it has affected transaction authentication, where our head of cybersecurity practice will be telling us how it has opened, I would say, more requirements for security. Then Mr. Ali Alsaegh from National Bank of Bahrain is going to introduce us to the new trends in transaction authentication and definitely the adoption in Bahrain, being a pioneer in the banking sector and region. And then also Mr. Pavel will introduce us to the trends as a global initiative and how they are applicable and how they can add value to our security landscape here in Bahrain. And finally, we will have a look at the consumer-centric approach to transaction authentication, because definitely whether we are banks or financial institutions, our main area of focus is always the consumer and their satisfaction. Now I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Hasan. The floor is yours. I will share your slides to the screen.
Okay, thank you very much, Ismail, for the introduction, and hi everyone. Thanks for being here. It's my pleasure to talk to you all today. I hope I can add value to this event, and thanks to NGN for this great initiative to participate in raising the awareness level of public in the field of information security. Especially nowadays with the increasing number of social engineering attacks and fraud attacks, and the abuse of the lack of awareness of the public level. So,
Mr. Hasan, if you don't mind also, since you're going to be introducing us to the topic, we would like to hear from the audience and see their participation. I've just shared a quick survey to see basically the feedback before the introduction to the topic and to see the feedback after the introduction of the topic. So if everyone from the attendees would not mind to join for a few minutes to answer the short survey.
I think we've lost our host.
I'm here. I was just powdering my nose.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. We will give it a minute to finish the voting. All right. So, Mr. Hasan, back to you. We will be sharing the results at the end, and basically we'll compile all the data together and share it with the attendees and the speakers equally.
Okay, great.
Back to you, Mr. Hasan.
Okay, thank you, Ismail. So today I will talk about what is OTP and why it is a thing of the past. I will focus on SMS OTP concept along with its use cases. Throughout the presentation, I will go through its pros and cons from different aspects. So, what is OTP? OTP stands for one-time password or passcode. It's a string of characters or numbers that authenticates a user for a single login, attempt, or transaction. An algorithm generates a unique value for each one-time password by factoring contextual information like time-based data or previous login events. The OTP value will be sent by SMS to the end user to complete the authentication process or to complete a transaction. So OTP brings an extra layer of security that password alone can't provide, requiring an extra step for a user to prove their identity, reduce the chances of a bad actor gaining access data. So during the authentication process, there are three independent factors that we need to keep in mind. First, something you know, like password, PIN, or security question answer. Second, something you have, such as a token, credit card, or your phone, and this is where we use OTP. Third, something you are, like fingerprint or behavioral data. So before we go ahead and talk about the downside of the SMS OTP, let's go through the two main advantages of the OTP as a concept. I mean here the general idea of OTP. I'm not talking specifically about SMS OTP. So the first advantage of the OTP is resistance to replay attack. Unlike traditional passwords, OTP are not vulnerable to replay attack, where the hacker intercepts a transmission of data, record it, and try to use it again to gain an access to your account or system. When the user gains access to his account using OTP, the code becomes invalid. It can be used only for one time, and therefore the attacker will not be able to use it. This is the first main advantage of the OTP concept. So second is the OTP, the fact that the OTP is difficult to guess. OTP are often generated with algorithm that makes use of randomness. So this makes it difficult for attackers to guess and use them successfully. Also, OTPs may be valid only for short period of time. For example, if you don't use your PayPal OTP within 2 minutes, it will be expired. And you have to generate a new OTP to gain access to your PayPal account. So these two measures reduces the environment attack surface when compared to password-only authentication. So after this introduction about OTP, so what's wrong with SMS OTP and why it is something from the past? So nowadays, there is a vast growing security problem with SMS. It has become a root behind many types of cyber crimes. People have lost millions of dollars and lost access to their critical accounts because of SMS OTP. The key problem is that SMS accounts are tied to the user mobile phone number. That is the extent of SMS authentication, no more and no less, and that is the problem. So many companies and service providers have implemented SMS OTP as a second form of identity verification. Unfortunately, SMS OTP is open to several types of attacks, including and not limited to man-in-the-middle attack, where the attacker interrupts messages in the middle of its transmission and tries to cheat the two communicating parties by posing a third party. SMS is vulnerable to this type of attack, unfortunately. So this is very important to know. The second type of attack is SIM swapping. Your SIM card tells your phone which carrier to connect to and what phone number to connect with. In a SIM swap attack, a threat actor convinces your carrier to switch your number to SIM that the attackers own. So as a result, they can receive your SMS and they can access all your SMS OTP messages, which are synced to your account. So this is another problem with SMS. So also the third type of attack can occur to the lost and synced devices. In theory, losing your phone means you shouldn't be able to receive SMS OTP messages. However, we can now sync messages between different devices, allowing us to authenticate via SMS OTP and access accounts even without the phone if it is synced. So forwarding sensitive messages like this is not a strong security practice, especially when you are using a weak password. So be careful if you have such kind of setup. So next is the phishing attack, and it is the most famous type of attack nowadays. It employs social engineering techniques where a threat actor impersonates an employee from a trustworthy organization such as banks or financial institutions and deceives you into handing over your SMS OTP to him. So hackers in this type of attack depends on the user emotions or lack of knowledge and can result in SMS OTP leaking in the same way as a password. So the problem here is the hacker will initiate the password reset request on behalf of the user and will trigger an SMS to be sent to the end user for the trusted organization at a specific time. So usually this happens during the call between the fraudster and the victim. So this way, if the user does not have the average level of knowledge, he will be fooled and might be convinced to tell his SMS OTP over the phone to the fraudster. So unlike the authentication apps, the attacker can't pretend that he sent you something from the bank side. The fifth type of common attacks is the account takeover. Many service providers let users view the messages within a web portal. If your online account for the web portal is protected only by a weak common password, an attacker can breach that account and access your SMS messages. So this means the attacker can use your SMS OTP to hack all your connected accounts. So from information security perspective, what are the top risks associated with SMS OTP? First, SMS OTP runs over a plain text protocol, which means there is no end-to-end encryption enabled. This means if the message contains sensitive data like OTP, it will travel across multiple layers between the SMS originator till reaching the end user as is, and without any data encryption or even masking. So this is a big risk from information security perspective. The second risk also is identity impersonation, where the fraudster can impersonate your bank SMS ID. For example, you are receiving genuine SMS from XYZ Bank, for example. The attacker can send you an SMS from the internet using the same ID, XYZ Bank, with a link to a malicious page. The normal user might think that this is a genuine message because he received this on the same thread from the same SMS ID before. So to protect and to secure ourselves from such risk, there is a dependency on the telecom companies to protect the sender IDs. And this security measure might not be available with all telecom providers. So this is another issue. The third risk with SMS OTP is eavesdropping. Because of the SMS messages are not encrypted, there is a risk that the staff of the organization generating the SMS can view the SMS OTP. Also, the staff of the SMS aggregator and the staff of the telecom operator can view the SMS because it's not encrypted and might be saved somewhere in their systems and their logs and their databases. So this is another risk. Also, the link between the service owner and the telecom operator can be eavesdropped because the message is traveling unencrypted from one point to another. Similarly, the link between the telecom operator and the end user also can be eavesdropped. So all these are weaknesses associated with SMS OTP and makes it a bad method for authentication. So let's look at it from another aspect. Can we consider SMS as a reliable mean to deliver OTP? According to a study by Keynote Systems, 94.7% of SMS messages arrive at their destination in an average of 11.8 seconds. This means 5.3% arrives late or do not arrive at all. In fact, this is really bad, and I guess most of us faced this issue of not receiving the SMS OTP from the first attempt, and you have to resend again. So it's not reliable. The second issue with the SMS is the cellular coverage requirement. So in order to receive the SMS OTP, you need to be in an area with cellular, let's say, coverage, with a carrier acceptance. Sometimes during travel, you might have hotel internet, but there is no mobile coverage or there is no acceptance to your SIM card on that roaming operator. And in this case, you will not receive the SMS OTP. The third issue is the high dependency on multiple parties, starting from the SMS gateway reseller to the SMS aggregator to the telecom provider till reaching the client client mobile. And this is explaining why 5.3% of the messages received late or not received at all. So in short, SMS proved itself as an unreliable mean for authentication. So the third aspect that I want to talk about is the cost of using SMS for OTP. First, sending SMS messages is associated with a certain cost and increases the running cost of the operating platform. Second, the cost of the SMS depends on the local mobile operator, and the cost of SMS service cannot be guaranteed to be fixed over time. So there is a variable cost that can impact the cost forecast. Unlike authentication apps or software-based authentication, which you can and which you know exactly how much the cost of that solution end to end. So there's no variable cost here. So now, after discussing the SMS OTP from aspects of information security, reliability, and the cost, let's see it from the compliance perspective. PCI Security Standard Council enforces the mandatory and the most important standards for all banks and entities dealing with card data. If you deal with card data, you have to be PCI certified, and you have to follow PCI standards. So PCI usually relies on industry standards such as NIST, ISO, ANSI to form their standards. When it comes to using SMS, they adopted NIST direction. As you can see in this article, NIST advised that the out-of-band authentication using SMS or voice has been deprecated and may be removed from future releases. This is very clear, right? So after this announcement from PCI and NIST, there was a big buzz around this decision from a lot of financial institutions, as they are not ready yet and still depends heavily on SMS. So NIST lightened their tone and published this article, which you can see on the screen. In this article, they clarified their point of view and explained the risk of using SMS for authentication. Under huge pressure, they have withdrawn the deprecation decision and left the call to the organizations to take a risk-based decision. So you have to evaluate the risk of using such unsecure method, and if you understand and accept the risk, you can take it for the time being. So we understand from that SMS is something from the past, and we all need to move to the new and modern authentication methods as soon as possible. So after all, last but not least, the National Cybersecurity Center in UK also is saying in this publication, text messages are not the most secure type of two-factor authentication. Also, they are saying about SMS Otp, any two-factor authentication is better than not having it at all. So they are comparing SMS two-factor authentication to nothing. They are not comparing it to any other form of MFA methods, which gives an indication about the low level of confidence with SMS Otp. So after all mentioned issues, are we fast enough in adoption and migrating from SMS Otp to the modern authentication methods? This is a list of different MFA implementations across popular domains. We can see that most of them are ready with software-based MFA. However, they kept the SMS as an additional or fallback option. We can see that the top domains are ready to switch off SMS at any point in time, even today. I believe all organizations should be ready with the upcoming change and remove the dependency on the SMS as the main MFA method. So this will help them to raise the security level around the platform and be ready with the compliance changes, which might be effective anytime soon by industry standards. So the conclusion of this presentation is SMS Otp is vulnerable to several types of attack. It is costly and not reliable, and we need to consider switching to other modern form of multi-factor authentication for better security. So with this slide, I'm ending my talk. I will hand over the mic to Mr. Pavel now, so he can share his views on this topic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hasan.
So let's move forward. Mr. Hasan, thank you very much for your for such detailed presentation. Actually, there is not a lot of things to add to your presentation because of you you pointed a lot of disadvantages of SMS one-time password. But actually, I want to point one more thing that I believe was not so detailedly described in your presentation. It's about social engineering. Because of okay, we know a lot about techniques and technologies of hackers attacks, but in the last few years, actually 2 or maybe 3 malefactors found the most simplest way to steal these codes, to steal this one-time password, is social engineering. And for now, we see that up to 97%, 97, it's a lot of, it's attacks based on social engineering. And it happens because of when a user uses one-time password, especially sent by SMS, there is a constant pattern of actions, of user actions, yeah? And malefactor's goal when he tries to steal this SMS, this one-time password sent by SMS is to make victims' psycho condition unstable. Yeah, it can be hurry up, something like, hey, your money is in dangerous, and hey, something want to steal of your money from your account, and to make a victim afraid something. and after this to use this pattern to dictate or provide a one-time password sent by SMS. And actually, one of the most important things and most important goals to move from SMS and one-time password in general is to break this pattern. Yeah, because of to read something and to provide something, it can be mail factor or it can be system to be authenticated. It's a pattern, and it should be broken. Yeah, and I want to repeat it one more time. It's very important thing because I repeat it one more time. Up to 97%, yeah, it's social engineering based attacks. So, and like an addition to Mr. Hasan's conclusion, yeah, I want to tell that one-time password in general and SMS especially has, I believe, three sets of problems. It's a technological one. Mr. Hasan said that SMS protocols has been invented 30 or 40 years ago. Yeah, it's completely not modern for modern world. And it's technical problems because of SMS can be stolen on the set of points that it should pass to reach the customer. It can be mobile phone, it can be mobile operator, SMS aggregator, it can be bank as well, actually, because of bank administrator can reach this this one-time password because it has been generated in bank. Yeah, it can be stolen. And one more, and the last maybe set of problem, it's legal problems. Yeah, because of we have we have a few cases when, for example, end user comes to bank and said that, hey, I haven't transferred my money at all. But bank asked, but you have provided one-time passwords for me. And after this, end user can answer the bank. You knew this password. Yeah, you knew this one-time password. You generated them, and you provided this password by yourself. By yourself. I haven't received any password, and please prove it. Yeah, and actually, bank cannot prove it. This is one problem, and another one is that one-time password is not linked with the transaction details because one password can confirm, for example, not this exact transaction, but can confirm another one, and you cannot link transaction details with this password. So this is, I believe, like a major, like a main sets of problems. It's like an addition to Mr. Hasan's conclusion why SMS is the thing of the past. I believe that we have to move out, and more of that. There are a lot of technologies that can substitute this not modern, not secure, and not cost effectively at all technology. So thank you.
Mr. Pavel, Mr. Hasan, I would say for very informative and complimentary discussion also. Now would love to see actually the feedback from the attendees. So we did the survey at the beginning, and now that we have a bit more information on OTP and I would say the hazards or the fallbacks of OTP, we would love to see from the audience how the feedback changed. I'll be sharing a very quick survey. And the voting has started. while we wait for the survey results, interestingly enough, OTP is not only used in transactions, but also for login conversations and for access to portals. Even, for instance, as an ex-investment banker myself, even our trading platforms were utilizing and are still utilizing OTP. So I would say, taking what you have mentioned, you would, I say, magnify also the drawbacks, because it's not only just for transactions, but it's also for multiple forms of authentication. It's currently being utilized. All right, so we will end the voting. Thank you everyone for participating. I think we have a few more. It's very interesting to see the shift in feedback from before the topic, introduction of the topic, and after. This is, I think, something very interesting, and I'm excited to see it at the end of the webinar when we publish the results. All right, so now that we have discussed introduced of what is OTP and why is it a thing of the past, I would like to actually welcome my colleague Ilya Leonov, who is gonna talk to us a little bit about open banking and basically how is it as an additional feature, how is it affecting security when it comes to online banking. Let me add him in. Welcome, Ilya.
Hi, Ismail. Hello, everyone. It's a great honor to be a part of second NGN Majlis. So hope everyone is enjoyed. So yeah, as Ismail said, I will just give you a brief introduction and briefing about the open banking risks and open banking, let's say, functions. So as we know that open banking, it is the concept when using the open API interfaces, we can create a new customer services, we can exchange the customer data, and actually the open API gives us a huge, I would say, advantages and abilities to do a lot in terms of the new financial services, as I said. But also it is creates risks, right? Because the API is, for who didn't aware, it's application programming interface, have several, let's say, issues and vulnerabilities. But before that, from the financial point of view, definitely the open banking bring some of the risks. One of them is just the cost of implementation and maintaining this open API. Definitely this new concept require some additional investment and support from the financial point of view. Definitely the risk of the reducing income or loss to market because of the increased competition. We can see that, for example, in the countries which already implement this concept, that becomes, from one hand, for the consumer, it becomes very easier to utilize the financial services, but also because the whole concept of open banking makes the user feel more, let's say, open and free to the new services. He can switch and choose different, I would say, financial providers. But I would like to highlight obviously the cyber risks of the cyber attacks, which is connected to the open banking. And as I said, we are talking about the open API. So API also vulnerable to the multiple things, as Mr. Hasan said about the SMS. So we have the same list of the potential threats into API. It's the man-in-the-middle attacks, different type of the session intersections, authentication hijack. hijacking, obviously the attacks as the denial of the service, which is nowadays becomes extremely cheap. And for example, to start a DDoS attack now, you need to have around maybe $20 US. So you can try to to attack some of the web server or API interface. But with the time that I have, I would like also to let's say highlight a couple of interesting things, because the API is related to our, I would say, main topic, the SMS, and along with these types of attacks that I mentioned, we also have the vulnerability in technology and SIM itself as the technology. So according to the report of one cybersecurity group, so they studied multiple telecom operators around the globe, and they identify, imagine, more than 60 mobile operators in around 30 countries that are using the vulnerable technology, which allows the threat actor using the fake SMS get compromised the victim's devices. So, and as you can see again from the slides, we are talking about around 1 million such SIM cards. So this is the huge, I would say, huge threat that we are still, from the technology point of view, we're still not prepared for common attacks and common threats. So that's why definitely the second factor is what we need to take a look on. And also, continuing the Mr. Hasan, he already mentioned the SIM swapping attack, but what I would like to add from my side, definitely it is related to the phishing types of the attack, when the threat actor is trying to, let's say, release a new SIM card or change the number from your SIM card to the threat actor's SIM card. So first of all, definitely what I would like to say is the very complex attack, and it's not the massive, but it's, from the other hand, it's very effective. So still, we can see a lot of the telecom operators, they are still vulnerable to this type of social engineering attacks. They also list a couple of the methods how to prevent, how to protect yourself from this method of the attack. First of all, if you have the possibility, that possibility with your telecom operator, you can ask them, prepare like some request to prohibit the release of the new SIM card. So if someone, let's say, call to the operator and trying to release the SIM card or change the number, it will be prohibited. From the second point of view, obviously for the cryptocurrency wallets or even the bank accounts, I suggest to use another SIM card, which is, used, the number which is not used anywhere except the financial transactions that you are doing. And the third and the most obvious, that no need, please don't publish any personal data into the World Wide Web, into the internet, including the emails, messengers, and so on. Because even frankly speaking, I can say from my side, even my wife, sometimes she's asking me to send her the OTPs to do some shopping or whatever, and even myself, I realized that it is extremely not healthy habit. So we all of us should think about it. So from my side, I would like to conclude here. So Ismail.
Thank you, Ilya. Actually, I'd like to say that with the idea of fintech and open banking is, I would say, very advantageous to the end user. And our screen time and our usage of devices and handheld devices is on the rise. So if you look at the statistics, for instance, Kaspersky recently did a study on the region, and 90% of cyber attacks have happened over a mobile device. And again, I would say this is linked to today's topic. Specifically in Bahrain, actually, as you've mentioned about the SMS hijacking and the social engineering attacks, 40% of bank users in one way or one form or another have been a target of similar incidents. So we're definitely very happy to see more features, more usability. And we are very happy actually to see that the local financial institutions and banks are responding very well, not only in terms of technology, but also in terms of awareness. You will see Central Bank of Bahrain launching social security awareness events. You will see financial institutions, banks such as MBB and AFS having multiple campaigns online. So as our head of practice, thank you for those tips. I'm always happy to learn new measures from you, Ilya. Thank you so much. Now,
thank you,
Ilya. Take care. Now we will move to our next topic, which is we are very excited, I would say, to learn more about the trends in the market now. So we've identified the OTP, we've identified, I would say, the pitfalls, but it's not all bleak, right, Mr. Ali? There are solutions, there are ways to better our security postures, and we would love to hear from you what are the latest trends and what you see here, especially locally in Bahrain.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Ismail, for the introduction. We definitely look at different methods, different technologies to make it more easy for our customers, plus make it more secure. I can maybe share my screen, if you allow me, Mr. Ismail.
You can go ahead, Mr. Ali.
Thank you. One second.
It should be activated now, Mr. Ali, if you can give it another go.
Yeah.
It is loading, yes. We can see it now.
Okay, so again, back to the subject, what the bank do or what organization did for securing the authentication. Let's go back for the starting of the journey of digital transformation in NBB. We started that in 2017 with our CEO. And, I remember in December in the town hall, he said, we'll start the digital transformation. We need to be closer to our customers, bringing in new technologies, leading the market again. So when these statements being made, we sit together and we are thinking what we can do to provide more secure, easy to use, less friction methods for authentication. So as you know, there's a lot of things in the market, and definitely we redesign the full authentication methodology. We make it less friction and more ease of use. You know, it's things we have to focus on. So what we did, we adapt. Number one is, as everybody mentioned earlier, Mr. Ilya and Hasan, most of the attacks happen from the mobile. And nowadays, more than 90% of transactions happen in mobile. And everybody know in COVID, we saw how benefit pay play a major role. You know, it's jumped more than 900% in transaction volume in very short time. Everybody don't want to use cash. So we have to go there and change the way we authenticate transaction, the way we interact with our customers. Before, you have to go to the branch and authenticate and do a lot of things before opening an account. Nowadays, sitting in any coffee shop, anytime, you can open an account with MBB digital onboarding. Anywhere, you just take photos of your IDs and stuff. This is another way of, as Hasan mentioned and Ilya, it's opening a new door. Within every technology, there is a new threats landscape. So what we did is get a holistic approach when we securing our environment. As open banking, it's required PSD2, which is very strong authentication. Plus having a back end for the security. For example, now, you're accessing your online banking, but in the same time, there's a lot of things happening in the background. For example, every time you access our MBB online banking, we check your geolocation. Are you in the same place? Is this transaction being in your history? We check your history. We check, are you authenticated with the same methodology in the last time? For example, if you access all the time with your fingerprint, one day you want to change the methodology, for example, for push notification. We will throw another challenge. I can share another slide, which is exactly what's happening in the background. You log into your mobile, you download your app, and you just click fingerprint at this, you are in. But what's happening in the background is a lot of work. Once you log into your device, there is behavior analysis. For example, if you are left-handed and handing the phone, and each time you click in a certain way, there is sensor in the phone. We'll say this is the way Ali's authentication or Ismail authenticate. So this is a way we know, like another indicator, we know that Ali is handling the phone and Ali is doing the transaction. The second one is the behavior, as we say, did he change his behavior or not? Third one is the history. Have he transacted any transaction to China lately? I'm just saying China just for the sake of example. Or he did the transaction internationally. He usually only pay his bills, do talabat, and that's it. Suddenly he adding beneficiaries and try to send to China. Here we will throw another challenge. For example, ask him to do another fingerprint or another methodology of authentication. And finally, we will check, is the user, for example, he used his ATM card in Saudi Arabia. The next minute, he authenticates with his mobile in Bahrain. So we know there is a alert there. There's something abnormal. So it is another method in the background that we secure our customers. And finally, there we have a machine learning and analytics tools, which will show us trends. For example, how many accounts being created with the same mobile. These conditions are set by the risk departments and definitely for the fraud and cybercrime. So this is in a nutshell what we have and what we do in the background. Yes, we definitely change the way we authenticate. We definitely change the way we.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. Thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, it's interesting, as you've mentioned, it's much more, I would say, secure, higher level of security, but it's also so seamless. So myself, as an end user, I don't feel hurdled. I don't feel, I would say, chained down. But technically, you are providing, I would say, security at an endpoint level, at my level. So thank you. Now we would love to hear from Pavel, who is going to add to what Mr. Ali has mentioned, and I would say discuss what other global trends they are basically delivering in Europe and in the West, to see and how we can learn from that also.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Actually, this is not will be another way. Yeah, it will be. I believe this is a familiar one, but actually, I want to show you it from technology point of view. And after this, I will try to show you how it looks like for end customer, not by words, but really. Okay. So to tell a little bit about technologies, I will share my screen and will show you one slide. It will be only one. So how to share it? Excuse me, guys.
I activated the screen sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find how to do this.
It's on the left panel. And you just have to.
Two screen icons, Pavel.
Yeah, I see this. Okay. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, with the presentation, with one slide. Okay, so thank you. Sorry for this. Sorry for this. So from technology's point of view, as we said, the first of all, to be authenticated or to authenticate any data, we have to use strong cryptographic techniques. Yeah, so if we use strong cryptographic techniques, we need the key sets, and actually for now it's like a modern trend to build all of the systems like mobile centric. Yeah, because of to be authenticated, you have to provide something, and the easiest and the most convenient way for end customer to do this via mobile device. Yeah, because of it's like a computer, and it always with you and can provide all of the information about you and to identify and to authenticate yourself. So this set of strong cryptographic techniques, it's as I said, convenient way to realize it in the mobile device. Or for example, another way is to use this via separated hardware token, but it's not convenient because you have to plug it somewhere, and there is separated device. And why you as a user should use this if you have a mobile device and you can provide all of the features with this? So there are a set of technologies working on a mobile device, and we use it to authenticate you, to identify you, and to confirm your transactions with a digital signature, strong cryptographic techniques. Link it with the transaction, with you, your mobile device, and so on. No any SIM cards or attacks like this, and based on private key stored right on your mobile device with an unextractable condition, so it cannot be extracted. Another set of technologies, it's biometric authentication. Yeah, so it's like a modern thing too, and biometric can be used like mobile platforms provided. It's Face ID, Touch ID, fingerprint on the Android device, but there are a lot of cases when it cannot be used to authenticate yourself to be sure that this is you, because of in some cases backend, some system needs, for example, your face or your voice or video to make a liveness detection. Yeah, and that's why vendors and authentication solution providers have to implement biometric technologies inside their products. So it can be done for two purposes. It can be used for two purposes. It's a digital KYC to know you, to onboard you to the system. It's like It's like one use case, and another one for additional transaction authentication. Like Mr. Ali said, when, for example, there is some high-risky transaction from non-usual place or with non-usual device or some non-usual parameters, we can ask from a user not only to be authenticated by mobile device, but provide, for example, his selfie or video to make a liveness detection. It's like an addition, like an additional authentication factor. Another one, it's a risk-based authentication. Mr. Ali said about this. We can collect a lot of information, about the device, and we can build risk-based authentication processes based on security level, and we can enrich anti-fraud systems with this information. But in addition, actually, this is not about only about security, because information, for example, about location, it's very interesting thing for marketing, and information about from which mobile devices, how much does this device cost? Is this the last iPhone or this is cheap phone? And marketing teams can can make some assessments and some predictions based on this information, and it's very interesting information for these divisions. It can be used too, and of course for statistics and analysis. And another feature is Pki Integration. It's about compliance. When we are talking about security, we have a lot of standards, a lot of RFC documents, a lot of requirements from different companies and different regulation authorities. And when we are talking about digital signature, when we want to authenticate a transaction with authority and integrity control, and if we hear something about keys, private keys, public keys, there is story about Pki, and authentication vendors have to provide these technologies to compliance and to be integrated with the different another different system. For example, I believe that it's very useful for open API approach, because of you can digitally sign transaction on one side and you can verify it with all of the PKI infrastructure abilities on another. So it's about this. And like an addition, but it can be important for some customers, it's an enterprise protocol stack. Because when, for example, bank implements some 2FA strong, good solution for 2FA for their customers, usually he wants to use it for internal users, for his employees, to provide ability to work with their systems remotely. In the COVID situation, it's very important, because of when you provide remote access to your internal systems, for example, via VPN, you as a bank, as a system holders, have to be sure that this connection will be secure, and so the same technologies can be used for internal systems as well. So I believe from technology point of view, that's all. I think that this is familiar with the presentation that Mr. Ali said, but maybe from a little bit another point of view. And if we want to, we can take a look how it works, on a real demo, on a real mobile application. So how should we do? Do we have time for this? How do you think, Ismail? Are you here?
I think we can actually have a session dedicated to the demonstration, Pavel, and we would actually love to see you show us the from step 1 till the end. So the pitfall or the risk, and then how you were able to fix it and mitigate it. But yes, I think it will be for the sake of the time, we will have it in another session.
Okay.
Thank you both so much. And I think what's interesting here is that we, as we saw, that since we're moving now with Mr. Ali and Mr. Hasan to the topic of the consumer-centric approach, I think what you've already mentioned now is that security doesn't always have to make things difficult, right? So you can actually increase the security, but with the machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the technology that is being adapted and used, you can actually make things easier for the end user. So increasing security while actually increasing usability.
I agree with you, Ismail. Definitely, we can sense this. Before, users have to do OTP, and the registration will take more than 20 minutes. Now we can do it in 5 minutes, and it's much way secure. Yeah, we can link it to another channels. It's all connected, as you said. Yeah, definitely, it's reduce risk and increase security and reduce the friction between customers. I think we can focus on the next topic here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, Pavel. Now, this is, I would say, the perfect segue into the topic. We will loop in Mr. Hasan, and we will talk about basically the focus of any organization, which is the consumers.
Yes, I agree with you, Ismail. When it comes to the user experience, the potential friction caused by multi-factor authentication has become a subject of concern for many consumers. It begs a question: how can card issuers, banks, and BSPs ensure people security while maintaining
Please.
approach adopted by NBB will eliminate the unauthorized transactions entirely. Also, it will reduce the liability risk and cost. For sure, it will improve the consumer satisfaction, as mentioned by Mr. Ali. It's fast and secure. It will also improve the credibility and public perception, and it will contribute and increase
I think Mr. Hasan is facing maybe some connection issues. We'll give him a minute to come back.
Yeah, I just want to share one slide talking about the customer-centric approach.
Please go ahead.
Can you see my screen now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So we have 4 elements for customer-centric approach. We didn't reduce the security. We actually used a strong authentication, which is required by our compliance. We are PCI DSS, SWIFT, and PSD2 partially. We are compliant with open banking. So this is one element. The second element, we let the customer use the way of authentication. Do he want to use face recognition, biometrics, crypto, barcode scanning, or he want to use smart cards, whatever he want to use. Another thing we did is security on by default. So we secure the customers before they even ask for it. So in some applications or some approaches, customers have to go in and enable some features for security. And the last one is easy and secure recovery. Once you lost your wallet, you lost your access to the mobile, how easy you can go back. It's like the same experience. We have to think about it as well. So these are the main elements. Plus, And if we go one step back, customer-centric is a business decision. We need to support it from security perspective. So even the number of clicks, how many clicks to do transaction, how many menus do you have to go through, all this being studied, all this being designed properly. So security is coming and will be binding to that strategy. It's not actually a hurdle. We actually increase and improve the experience for our customers. This is what we focus on. I think Mr. Hasan can add more if he is back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ali. I think this is a very important, I would say, to always keep in mind that yes, it is the consumer focus is always ultimately number one, and security, I would say, goes hand in hand, because it's not just about the experience, but also about feeling safe when you are either using your mobile to make payments, to process transfers, or even personally for me as a customer for the financial institutions. It's even when I try to create a new account, or I have to, I would say, update my personal information. I have seen a tremendous change in the technology and the usability. It's extremely user friendly now, so I don't have to physically go to the branch to update my personal information. For instance, I can upload my passport copies, my CPR copies, or identification. So I would say it is we have completed the cycle today in our discussion. So we've moved from, I would say, the pitfalls to the, I would say, how to improve, and then we concluded with how to make things better for the customer in terms of an experience. So thank you, Mr. Hasan, thank you, Mr. Ali, and Mr. Pavel for I would say introducing us to the topic and for this discussion. Now I think attendees have been very excited to join us. So we will have a very quick survey also, and then we can move to the Q&A and to something we are going to be trying out for the first time. We're calling it the Majlis Chat, where the attendees can actually participate. If everyone doesn't mind to please go through the survey, and then we can open the window for participation. All right. Thank you everyone for participating in the vote. Watch our LinkedIn page. We have added the link on the top of the webinar page. We will be announcing the results after we populate them, and definitely you will see the updates from the speakers and the panel today. Now I will be changing to. I will be opening the Q&A session. Can everyone see the Q&A mode?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we'll give it. It has been enabled. We'll give the audience a few minutes to share their questions. Welcome back, Mr. Hasan. All right. We have a question from Muhammad. We will be publishing it. So Muhammad says, which is more secure in the panelist's opinion? Is it fingerprint or is it the Face ID?
Who will try to answer?
Well, I think the error rate in Face ID is more than fingerprint. So I believe fingerprint is better option than Face ID.
Actually, when we're talking about security, I want to add a little bit. There is, we should talk about probability of false positive and false negative. Face ID and fingerprint works like these technologies stores like a template in on a mobile device, and after you provide your face or your fingerprint, it will compare the new template with the stored one like one-to-one. And based on this, and fingerprint and Face ID provides you approximately the same security level. But after this, we should talk about how to fake fingerprint or how to fake face. Yeah, and based on this, fingerprint can be I don't know, stolen from some surface or and imitated. Yeah, but face, but to make a fake face, it can be used mask. So there is separated technology, but I believe from security level for you know, like regular customer, it's more about convenience but not about security. It's approximately the same technologies. I think so.
I just want to add one bit here. Is if you are sleeping, your wife can use your fingerprint and you but in face recognition, it will not open unless your eyes are open. So this is my opinion. Yeah.
I'm also here limited a little bit with the finger.
But actually, I believe that you are sleeping very well if you not wake up when someone touch you with your phone with your finger. You have a very well sleep. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for weighing in on this. We have also a comment from Mr. Yusuf Hussain. I will be. So Mr. Yusuf says, controls are not effective when end users lack awareness. We've seen customers share passwords, accounts, OTP, and other sensitive information with scammers. How can we raise awareness to all customers, young and senior? The more controls we add, the less user-friendly the app and services become. So how can we tackle this issue? If you don't mind, I believe we've covered this, that actually with the technology, and as Mr. Ali and Mr. Hasan and Pavel have mentioned, it's becoming more secure and more user friendly. So all these security measures are, I would say, seamless. Any comments that you'd like to add on this, gentlemen?
Yeah, I believe that, okay, user shares some information. It can be password, accounts, and one-time password. And I believe that we should provide technologies that works like there is no any information that could be shared. Yeah, no one-time passwords, no long-time passwords. there should be no any information. For end customer, it should looks like he sees information about transaction, about operation, or some document on his mobile device, and maximum 2 buttons. I agree or I don't agree. That's all. And in this case, if, for example, malefactor using social engineering will try to force a user to do something, this user can see this is, for example, all of my money transfer for to account of some customers, and if I will press agree, all of my money will be sent. Yeah, and when I talk to you about breaking pattern, which is a base for social engineering, I tried to tell you about something like this. Yeah. So as a conclusion, we should not provide any information that can be dictated or sent somewhere. Just one button, I agree, and one button, disagree. That's all.
That's great. That's great. And I believe Mr. Youssef touched on an important point. It's about awareness, and I think this is what we are achieving in this dialogue. So we have here local banks, local financial service providers such as AFS, MBB, such as NGN International, opening a dialogue that would ultimately add value and awareness. And definitely, this is, I would say, the security hygiene, the education, the knowledge is ultimately also very important. And we hope to achieve it during such platforms as the ones we have today. So thank you everyone for the comments. Now, we also have a comment and a question from Mr. Mohammed Saeed. So thank you for talking about transaction authentication, which you have gratefully offered the options mentioned previously. However, I'm also curious to what method would be best used to confirm, validate the customer's mobile phone during sign-up. That's, I would say, an interesting question. And during login, are there any fallbacks to, or any other fallback methods to multi-factor authentications? In which case, we have not eliminated OTP. Is that correct to say? Floor is yours, gentlemen.
See, I think for the sign-up, during the sign-up process, we can validate it, but we should not use it for transaction authentication or sign-up or login to your account. So for login and transaction authentication, you have to use better options. But during sign-up, this can be a one-time, let's say, process, which will validate your phone number. Then you can fall back to other modern methods for transactions.
I just want to add on Hasan's. I agree with what Hasan says, that you use it only for authentication of the phone. But there's another method if you're using a mobile app, which is using push notification. It's more secure than SMS. So there is another way if you are using mobile. But if you are using website, the only way is SMS at the moment.
Pavel, would love to hear from you also regarding, I would say, onboarding, registration, and the sign-up.
Actually, onboarding, registration, and sign-up is as a part and access recovery as well. This is the most risky thing that can be in all of this authentication stuff. Yeah. Actually, there is a question about how to validate mobile customers' mobile phone should be divided. How to validate mobile phone's number or mobile phones like a device itself. Yeah. Actually, so if we have to validate mobile phone's number, this is only one-time password sent by SMS. Yeah, we should provide something to this mobile phone number. We can call actually, or we can send SMS, and if customer receive it and prove it to us that he has this mobile phone number. But if we want to validate mobile phone as a device, I don't know if we need this. Actually, in the sign-up process, we do not have to validate it. We have to personalize mobile device or mobile application, yeah, to provide some information. I don't know, key set or some secret or something like this. And after this, after sign up, this information will be used to authenticate the user. Yeah, for example, key set, and we can provide it in different ways. For example, it can be QR code, or it can be with a special way generated link, yeah, or it can be I don't know, KYC process when you provide in your face your ID, and after it will be verified, you will receive from the service side your secret and stored on your mobile device. In this case, you do not have to use your mobile phone number to personalize your mobile phone as a device. Yeah, so different ways can be invented actually. Yeah. But if we want to not use SMS, we just have to provide another communication channel. So I think like this.
We have also a comment from Mr. Khalid Wahid. So Mr. Khalid is asking, what is the best combination of authentication mechanisms? Username, password, or customer CPR and password? So in your opinion, what is the best two-factor authentication?
So I will try to answer. In my opinion, it's a digital signature based on key pair and private key stored on the mobile device. Or another way, hardware token as a second factor. The first factor can be anyone. It can be login, password. It doesn't matter. But the second should be cryptographically based.
I believe this is something that Mr. Ali and Mr. Hasan also touched on during their presentations on the consumer-centric approach to authentication. Mr. Ali, Mr. Hasan, would you like to add something here regarding, I would say, your favorite two-factor authentication method? All right, we will move to the next question. We have Ms. Sarah Khalid is asking. So she's asking, I think this question is addressed to Pavel from the presentation that you showed us through the authentication process. How does the solution you're proposing achieve multi-factor in offline mode? Since we said that this is also one of the pitfalls. So how does the technology you're offering or discussed offer that?
Yeah. Okay, actually, it's more convenient to show it on the demo, yeah, but you can find our demo in our site and you can try it by yourself. But the main principle is the following. We digitally sign transaction details, mix it with the time and device fingerprint, and using user's private key, yeah, we are generating digital signature on the mobile device. And to generate a digital signature, we have to receive transaction details, transaction data. Yeah, in online mode, we can request it from the server side. But when we work in offline mode, we cannot do this. But we can use another channel. We do use a graphical channel, and the end customer can scan QR code provided by a system that requires an authentication. Yeah, and transaction details will be stored and will be in this QR code. And Pay-Confirm on the mobile device will extract transaction data from QR code. All another data it has on the mobile device, keys, device fingerprint, and time at this moment. And we can generate a digital signature. And in offline mode, we can cut this digital signature because of its long value. And to use it in offline mode, we can cut it. yeah, and provide to user like a set of digits to provide it by user's hands. It not so convenient like an online mode when all of this done automatically by one step, but in offline mode you have to provide this signature value by hands, but it will work.
Actually, Pavel, we've been getting, I would say, quite some interest here on this, and they're asking if you can go through the demo. Since we're at the end of the Q&A session, if you don't mind showing us around, that would be great. And
okay,
perfect.
It will take 5 minutes. Okay, I will show you how it works.
That is great. I think the demonstration would be the perfect way to answer because the last 3 questions were on the same topic.
Okay. Okay, sorry guys, I did not get, should I make a demo now?
Yes, please, if you can give us a quick demo, Pavel. As I said, the last 3 questions were on the same topic, so it is the perfect way to answer them.
Yeah, okay, but I believe that we have to turn off, yeah, Q&A mode to make me able to share my screen. So I have no left panel for now.
1 second. You have just been upgraded.
Yeah, I get it. So I will share my screen. Yeah, okay. Do you see this? Colleagues, do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it, Mr. Pavel.
Guys, so I hope that you see my screen. Yeah, okay, so thank you. So here is our demo, yeah, and on the right, it's web-based and it's built like a sample of online banking because of it's more convenient to show all of the features and what's happening under the hood on web-based. But of course, it can be integrated right inside the mobile application. And on the right side, there is a screen of my phone. It's here. With our reference application. Reference, it means that actually for our customers, we provide functionality for mobile devices like an SDK to be integrated right inside mobile application of, for example, a bank, and the end customer doesn't know about anything about pay confirm, about what is this completely white label. He should work only with bank's mobile application. So, but we have our reference app. It's completely free. You can find it in App Store or Google Play and try to work with our demo on a payconfirm.org site if it will be interesting for you. So when we talked about authentication, that it should be as most easy that it should be as easy as it can be. So we think that it should look like this. Yeah, we can use PayConfirm for transaction authentication and for users authentication. And when we're talking about users authentication, we provide our identifier, press sign it, see that operation appears on our mobile device, see transaction details, that this is confirmed to your login to demo portal, and as I said, 2 buttons, confirm and decline. And we press confirm and use fingerprint to access to my private key stored on the mobile device, and that's all. I'm logged in. So here, if I, for example, want to authenticate a transaction, yeah, here is a pre-filled transaction for money transfer document. I press sign it, and the same way I see transaction details on my mobile device, and if I agree, I just press confirm. So that's all. When we are talking about offline mode, yeah, it works like I will turn off internet access on my mobile device, press sign in. And here is, if your mobile device is offline, here is a QR code. Yeah. And I scan it. I see transaction details on my mobile device, press confirm. And my mobile device cannot send digital signature value by online and provide me like a confirmation code, but it's not a one-time password. Yeah, it's a value based on transaction details, key stored on my mobile device, time, and device fingerprint, unique characteristics of my mobile device. And I should provide it by my hands here and press confirm. Transaction has been confirmed. That's all. It still can work in an offline mode. And one more interesting thing that I wanted to show you, yeah, it's about login operation. Because of I see here the questions: what is the best way to authenticate the user using login, password, or some, for example, phone number. And different systems use different logins. And we have a request from our customers that that in some cases user cannot remember their logins and what to provide to be authenticated, and which email, for example, the user provided during the registration. And to solve this problem, we created a feature that called like a login via QR. And to login, you have just to scan QR code provided by login page. And you see the transaction details and press confirm button, and you will be authenticated. This QR code is dynamic. It works only for exact session on an exact computer, on an exact machine. Yeah, but I have not provided any login or any password or any information about me. I just scan the QR and I'm logged in. It's completely simple, very useful, and so I can talk a lot of time about this, about internal, how it works internally. We have a lot of information. Here is digital signature. Here is information about mobile device. Here is scoring for risk-based authentication. Yeah, all of the technologies that I've shown to you, it can be demonstrated here in our demo.
Thank you, Mr. Pavel. I think this answers two questions about offline authentication and also about what's the best login method. So two birds, one stone. Thank you so much for that. We don't have any more questions, so I would just like to take this opportunity again to thank you, to thank Mr. Ali, Mr. Hasan, and for this discussion. And also definitely for the attendees, because without them, we would not have, I would say, an open dialogue. We look forward to our interaction in next events. And thank you once more. I hope everyone found this.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was very nice to have a conversation with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you, Hasan. Thank you, Pavel. Really interesting, and we promise you to continue creating such interactive sessions. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Yaqub. Take care, everyone. Till our next webinar.
Shukran.
Goodbye.
Bye.